This has been Strictly Ball Business.
Strictly ball business.
Strictly ball business.
I like that video.
Shit. Hello and welcome to Strictly Ball Business. We are here, episode 55. Make way as we've got something great for you today. We're talking about the NBA, and specifically, we're gonna dive into the Charlotte Hornets and give them a season preview. We're gonna talk about the Sacramento Kings as well. Just what we expect out of them for next year, right, Dalton? Or what were you thinking more beyond that? We'll let you guys know when we get there with Sacramento. But otherwise, we're going to talk about Dejounte Murray and Trae Young as a powerful new duo in the league, and Keldon Johnson as a next young star coming up. Obviously, Dejounte Murray, as we just mentioned, is with Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. So somebody has got to pick up some of the slack left behind in San Antonio, and that's probably gonna be Keldon Johnson. So, and then last one, Houston Rockets young core expectations. I don't know if I mentioned that one. So, we're gonna talk about them as well. Obviously, a year older for some of the guys, but they also bring in a new guy, Jabari Smith, into the fold. So, start out. We're talking Charlotte Hornets here. Formerly known as the New Orleans Hornets. Were they though? I don't know. Before it was the Charlotte Hornets. Then it was the Bobcats. Then they had the Hornets and New Orleans. It's very confusing to me. But now we have the new age Charlotte Hornets with LaMelo Ball, the poster child for Gen Z basketball, and Miles Bridges just beat the hell out of his girlfriend. So hopefully he's not playing this year. So what is it that they're going to be able to do this year? And did they also hire back Steve Clifford?
Yeah, they did.
He coached there last year. Is this his second or first year?
This is his first year.
So that's a whole thing too. People are forgetting about that crap.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think Steve Clifford's a good coach, good defensive coach. The team they needed defensive help. Also, he's really good at developing point guards, as we saw what he did with Kemba Walker. Great for LaMelo Ball, bad for anybody else, because if they're not good, he's not going to play them.
Yeah, they fired the guy just 4 years ago, and then MJ's just too lazy to go through a new coaching search because he's like, oh man, this young guy from San Antonio, everybody said was going to be a great coach, actually sucked. I'm going to go back with Steve Clifford. At least we had some good times at the golf course.
he's like, at least we hung out a lot. No, it's actually bad timing because Steve, I don't like Steve Clifford's a win now defensive type player. If you already have offensive stars, like the Wizards could have used him, I think he would have been a great fit for the Wizards because he can build a defense out of that Orlando Magic team had no, you think about anybody on that roster and now except for Aaron Gordon, but you're like, none of them played defense. Alfred Payton, Fournier, Isaac was there. Isaac played no games with Steve Clifford, but he used to turn them into a top 10 offense, and I think that'd be cool. That's what the Hornets need. However, horrible timing because Miles Bridges really, really fucked the Hornets, and what do you do now? Because as a team, you have Gordon Hayward, you have Rozier, but now you lost your second star, and now so you still have LaMelo, but now you have all these young guys. You got James Bouknight, PJ Washington, Kai Jones. Do you develop any of them, or do you go out and get somebody that can help you win now?
Yeah, the Miles Bridges thing pretty much is just a huge black hole on their roster right now because, that was a guy that they were planning to build their team around with him and LaMelo. Those were the guys. And then you have this come out with him, and now it's man, that kind of sets us back maybe a year, maybe even two in the rebuild process because now we don't even have that second guy. Now they have to figure out how the heck to get a second bona fide scorer. And sure, they have some other decent players on this team, but they really are going to have to find someone new that isn't on the team.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. Or I think they're going to lean on a lot of these young stars like James Bouknight. I think he's going to get a lot of time. Kai Jones as a power forward, these guys who can come out and PJ Washington, and it's tough. And like also Harrell. I mean, they didn't end up re-signing him because of what Harrell went through this past season. Granted, Harrell got signed already by the 76ers, but you have to think that played effect. Like, they had two guys that just kind of fucked up this offseason. Like, what do you do
I
with
mean,
that?
with Harrell, he was just carrying weed.
Still,
so
you're an NBA
not
player.
really the same as beating the shit out of your girlfriend.
Not the same, but he still had to deal with some stuff. So
Yeah.
it's obviously not ideal.
But I mean, like, it wasn't going to stop people from signing him. I don't think that was going to impact things. I think Trez just tends to be a guy that wears out his welcome with teams. I mean, I think he's a great energy guy. I think he does some things well. But I mean, let's be real. Like, he's been on 1-year contracts for a couple of years now. And I think he just maybe has a strong personality that not all teams are loving. And, maybe he just needs to cool it back sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, also, yeah, it's a little tough. I mean, he was with the Wizards, Lakers, Wizards, Hornets recently, but that was once he left the Clippers. Lakers, I mean, didn't have the money to pay him, bring him back. Wizards, they had an abundance of centers that they just didn't know what to do with. Hornets, I don't know why they wouldn't have signed him back. I mean, they don't have a center. They do, but Mason Plumlee, and I know you can't make the development excuse because they're not going to play Kai Jones at starting center. So it's like, what do you do? Or are they waiting for Miles?
But you can't start Trez at center either. I mean, defensively, like, you need somebody bigger and somebody who can actually give a damn on defense.
No, but he held a lot of center minutes when he plays off the bench. I mean, he didn't play with Plumlee that often. He did, but not that often. He was power forward center. Yeah, he's like 6'9". He's a bigger guy. He can play center for especially the small ball they were doing. He actually fits. I thought he fit really well into the fast pace what LaMelo pushes the ball for, even though he wasn't a shooter. He's faster than a lot of centers, especially Mason Plumlee, who's a slower center.
But if Kai Jones can't handle being the backup center at this point, in the second season, then that's a big disappointment for the team. So I think it makes sense to open things up for him, to have him and Plumlee be your centers, and then hopefully Kai Jones shines out a bit, and later in the season he takes the starting job. I think that's probably what they're gunning for.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see what happens. That's probably the case. It's just hard to see. They've never really given a shit about developing anyone besides like Kemba Walker, Miles Bridges, and LaMelo Ball. That's the only guys I've really like noticed, even during like the midway days when they had Kemba Walker. It was just kind of just them. They went out and got Batum. That was their big signing, remember? And Jeremy Lamb for a few years. There's not many other people that they had that really like matter. They're just not good at developing. You could make an argument LaMelo came like this.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument they don't know how to pick the right guys and develop them for sure. And I mean, they had the second overall pick in the Anthony Davis draft, and they got whoever one considered to be the consensus number 2, his teammate Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who did not have a good jumper and needed development there. And they obviously didn't do a good job at making sure that those skills were enhanced.
Yeah, already out of the league.
Yeah,
a little over 10 years or whatever, maybe close to 10 years. Probably.
He had a decent like 6-7 year career, but it was the story of, for the most part, injuries and not figuring it out completely. And he had some decent years of defense, but I mean, overall, he's going to be forgotten about.
No, yeah, for sure. But so I really liked the guy James Bouknight when he got drafted too, and I just kind of like not by the Hornets. I just don't think they're able to develop him like they're supposed to.
Well, I mean, he had 27% from 3 coming out of college, so like, first of all, I didn't love that, but like, if you were drafting him and you thought he had the potential to be a good shooter, I mean, you had to figure out ways to get him confident, because clearly he's coming off a year where maybe he's not the most confident. And like some more misses from 3, maybe he's going to get him deeper in that hole. And you need to have the right trainers, the right staff to help keep a guy afloat.
Yeah, I mean, fair, but like, just because they didn't shoot well from 3 doesn't mean they're not going to make it. I mean, De'Aaron Fox and Dennis Smith Jr., two totally different type of guys. Neither one could shoot. Neither one still can shoot. Two have very different roles in this league.
Sure, but one of the greatest things that they were saying about Bouknight was his shooting potential, and they were like, but he just had a down year.
It was more as shot.
They were trying to pass it as like a down year for his shooting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was more of his shot creation than his actual shooting from three. I mean, he had decent mid range. It was just a lot of he could turn something out of nothing. Is what the biggest part. He was just kind of like an offensive ready player, not necessarily the best shooter, pure shooter, as they would say. But
right. I mean, he didn't do shit last year, so we'll see if he does anything this year.
Didn't have that many minutes either, but yeah, he didn't make a little bit. Still, I'm not saying it's not a
think that'll change under Clifford.
No, Clifford doesn't like playing people that he doesn't think are good anyway. Even if he knows they can develop, he didn't like playing Jonathan Isaac.
So then, realistically, what's going to happen to James Bouknight after 2 years of barely playing NBA basketball?
Same exact thing that happens to Malik Monk.
So he's going to end up probably being a bust, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say Malik, but I don't find people a bust if they can fit a role in this league. Malik Monk has fit into that role of being a shooter, different role than I think Bouknight will turn into. I think he'll be more of like an Austin Rivers type, just kind of does just a good offensive piece.
Yeah, me personally, I wouldn't be trying to draft an Austin Rivers career in the top 10 of the NBA draft.
I don't think anybody tries to draft an Austin Rivers. I mean, when you're so deep, I mean, how many people actually make it each draft, you know? But if you're like the 20th pick, Austin Rivers is looking pretty nice. Maybe obviously not the Austin Rivers of today.
Absolutely. But James Bouknight was taken like 7th overall.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, higher expectations. But let's move on. Let's go to a new team.
Well, hold on. I'm not completely. So let's real quickly, like their contracts. Like I was looking around. So they have Hayward at $30 million. They have Rozier at 25 million, give or take, with like 3-4 years left. You know. Then they have Mason Plumlee. Like they have all these big contracts. Clearly, they have to develop at this point. Like you're not going to turn this into a winning season. You'd have like the only active guy right now. You could go out and get like maybe Karis LeVert, but does that move the needle? Does Miles Turner move the needle? Probably not. I did think of a trade that could conceivably make sense if John Collins is like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go somewhere else. It's in interdivision, so that's probably more unlikely. But Gordon Hayward, a lottery protected first round pick, Denver's first round pick, and a second round pick for Maurice Harkless and John Collins. So they're taking on salary. Obviously, Gordon has 2 years left. He would go over it. He does help shooting with the Hawks. I see it makes sense. He's obviously not bad defensively, but they're gonna want more shooting, especially with Dejounte in the starting lineup now. So that does make sense if John Collins wants to leave.
Yeah, I mean, John Collins would be great fit.
Especially
I think the Hornets would be ecstatic to get him. Absolutely.
Yeah, if LaMelo could make an all-star, granted it's not completely LaMelo, but if he can facilitate an all-star season out of Miles Bridges, I think he could do better with John Collins.
Maybe, very possible.
Speaking of young teams that are just kind of in the middle right now, the Kings, they are strictly in the middle. I don't think either of us had them. I think I had them in the play-in when we did our preseason guesses for what the standings are going to end up as. Where did you have them? Do you think they're going to be in the play-in this year?
I think like they certainly should be. I think right around that 9 to 10 range, maybe fighting for 8. Certainly think that's possible. You know, with the Utah Jazz falling out of it, like that's a team that you consider not being there, right? So they're ahead of them. They're ahead of the Thunder, obviously. They're ahead of the Rockets, obviously, and they're ahead of the Spurs as well. But then you got some complications after that because like that makes them, I think, the 11th team at that rate. But like, are they better than Portland? Maybe not. Portland made some upgrades this year. They're trying to be better. Are they better than the Lakers? I mean, maybe. But like the Lakers are gonna try to win games this year. And, the last 2 years have been lost seasons for LeBron, and they've been lost seasons for the Lakers and Anthony Davis in general. So I'm more eager to say that the Lakers are going to have a good year than they are going to have a bad year this year. I think the Lakers probably going to be better than the Kings still. So the Kings, I don't know who else they're better than on here. I mean, honestly, I'm going to say no, they're not going to make the playoffs or the plan because, they're not better than the Clippers or the Pelicans or the Wolves or the Nuggets or the Jazz or the Mavericks or the Warriors. Or they aren't better than the Jazz. Sorry. They're not better than the Warriors, not better than the Grizzlies, not better than the Suns. But I got them penciled in right around 11th because they're better than Houston, Thunder, Spurs, and Jazz. That's only 14. So I got them as the 11th best team right now, missing the playoffs.
No, yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. Makes sense to me. So what do you think this roster has to currently do? Just without trades aside, well, I'm sure they're going to be in a lot of trade discussions and rumors this season, but what do you think that this roster can do to be better? Do they have an identity? Do they go all in on that identity? Do they have to go the other way? What do you think?
I mean, they got to win games. They got to figure out how to play defense and get stops because they give up way too many points, and they got to figure out how to get rebounds. They brought in Sabonis to help with that. What are they going to do with their other center, Rashawn Holmes? Is he a backup now? What is his role in this team? I think Davion Mitchell, if he really shines out, this team could, certainly finish higher than projections.
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole thing on Davion Mitchell, but they said They said right when they traded him, they're like, Sabonis is our center. He's going to be our center. Rashad Holmes is a backup center. I'm sure they're willing to shop him. He has a $10-12 million salary. So it's not the I'm sure there's teams out there that would take it. Might as well maybe for Rozier or Gordon Hayward, whatever. They still have Barnes too. It's kind of tough. Last season we said they need shooting, they need defense. Did they get shooting? Yeah, they got shooting. I'd say so. They went out and got Herter. They went out and got Monk. They drafted a really nice shooter in Keegan Murray. I think that helped, but they didn't really move the needle on defense. I mean, I think the biggest hope for them is that Keegan Murray turns into that big time defender, that all defensive type player. Almost 2 blocks a game, super quick. He shot really well in summer league, and he's a 6'8" player. I think he's their ideal fit next to Sabonis because he can protect the paint where Sabonis couldn't. However, I don't think that's enough. I don't know actually what you do around Sabonis. He's a prototypical center that likes to play as a power forward that's not good at defense. It's kind of hard to build around a guy like that. Not saying he's not talented and all-star worthy, but puts you in a tough spot. Is De'Aaron Fox the perfect fit? No, probably not. Especially with his perimeter defense. But you're right. So, Davion Mitchell. Few questions about him. Is he starting?
Yeah.
You think he's starting over Malik Monk?
Yeah.
I actually don't think so. Because I was looking at this team and I was like, Fox? Okay, if you started Fox, who shot 28% from 3, Davion Mitchell, who shot 31% from 3. Granted, I do think he's going to get better. I don't know how good he'll get. Then you got Harrison Barnes, who's consistently a good shooter. Keegan Murray, who's a rookie, but supposed to be a good shooter. And then Sabonis, who's not a good shooter. I feel like they're going to want a shooter, a guy that runs around off screen where you actually do have to still stay out, then can't clog the paint with guys like Sabonis and Fox, who most of the offense is going to come around. I think at least starting, Malik Monk will be out there. Depending upon the matchups, if they really think, I think Davion Mitchell will be out there if they really think, if they got Damian Lillard or someone, or two guards like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, whether they'll need De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell to guard them both for most of the time. But I would say I would give the needle to Malik Monk, just the way they've built this team so far.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, certainly see the logic with that. Just think you're not giving Davion Mitchell quite enough credit. He did finish the season shooting pretty well and even had over 20 points per game for a good stretch. And defensively, I think he's miles better than Malik Monk. And I think I want to have him be getting starter minutes and be out there with the starting five so you can get camaraderie with them. I think that's your guy to build around with the other ones here. You drafted him high. He's got great talents, and I think you got to let him, kind of be himself. And if he's coming off the bench, I think maybe that blocks things out for him a bit mentally. And Malik Monk, I think, can still get you a ton of points off the bench. So I still want a scorer off the bench, because who's going to be my scorer off the bench if Malik Monk's in there? I don't think like Davion Mitchell is going to be able to open things up enough for himself compared to being in the starting lineup, having other guys open things up for him a bit.
Terrence Davis and Kevin Huerter are off the bench. They're pretty good offensive players like that. Terrence Davis more of that, like what we're talking about with Book Knight, where he just create his own shot. Not the best shooter, but he can create his own. And you'll have Holmes, and they really like Mitu. But I actually think, ultimately, I think that's the plan. Is Davion's going to be the starter? Malik Monk will be a sixth man or off the bench. But I do see, I'm like more excited actually to have Davion Mitchell come off the bench, because one thing I was also thinking about is there's really no other playmaking. I mean, Sabonis is a decent playmaker from the post, but like bring ball down, playmaking side. I mean, Barnes is fine, but Fox is really good. So if you get Davion Mitchell running as the bench, he gets to run that whole unit rather than just be like a behind Fox as a two guard. I'm more excited because I do think they want him to be able to run more plays even when De'Aaron Fox is on the floor, and I think that's what they're leaning into more than actual shooting. I think they want him to get comfortable running an offense and being the secondary playmaker on a high level team.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. I think you definitely need multiple guys who can handle the rock in tight situations once you do make it to the playoffs someday if you're the Kings. But like someday. Teams in general, that's what they all need. They need multiple guys who can orchestrate an offense.
Yeah, and I'm not saying Davion Mitchell, I don't think he'll ever be an all-star as long as he's playing with De'Aaron Fox. I don't see them ever giving them two nods for that. But I think he can play like an all-star. I think he could be an all-defensive type player. Not sure. I think more like a Dejounte Murray, where his offense is kind of, it just happens because he plays so good defense. I think it'll be a byproduct of his defense. I think he will be a better shooter than... do you think he'll be better than Dejounte Murray? This is the Dejounte Murray episode, I guess. So, do you think?
I mean, that would be a tall task, but that'd be cool. I mean, I don't really see that happening, but that'd be a tall task for sure.
Think he can be better than him offensively?
Maybe. I mean, he's not that much to beat, I suppose.
Yeah, I do think he has the potential to be better offensively. I think he can be as good of a individual defender as Dejounte Murray, but not as good as a team or as smart of a defensive player as Dejounte Murray, if that makes sense. I do think you can have him go out there and guard your best man, but I don't think he can be a defensive leader like a Pat Bev or like Draymond Green. I don't think he'll be like that, or Dejounte Murray. I really think if he's not that already, he will be that very soon. I don't think Davion Mitchell can get there. But that's the Kings. What do you guys think they need to do with the roster they have to be better, to get it over the hump? Comment below. Let us know. So since we're talking so much about Dejounte Murray, I know you want to talk about it. This fit. One of the best backcourts in the NBA, Trae Young and Dejounte Murray. Talk to me about them. Tell me something.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fast. I think it's going to be in control. And I think, they're going to get some lobs up to John Collins. I think they're going to get some lobs up to Clint Capella. And, overall, this is a really fast, young team, but they're really smart, too. I think they've got some really talented guys here leading this offense. And really excited to see what happens with it, because I think the Hawks are kind of a big question mark after the last two seasons, going from the Eastern Conference Finals to
Gentleman sweep.
Just
in the first
barely,
round.
yeah, and just barely making the playoffs too. Like I think they weren't even the 8th seed; they were like the 9th seed, and then won their way in. So
Yeah.
under original playoff formats, they would have missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
They should consider that season a complete disappointment in my mind, based on what they did the year before. Because like after that, are you just like, oh, was that Eastern Conference Finals a fluke? Is John Collins really good at basketball? Is Clint Capella gonna last much longer in the NBA? You start having these questions. You know one thing. Trae Young is a bona fide star, and he might even just keep getting better. At least he's gonna keep getting smarter, and hopefully in those playoff games, it'll make things easier for him. But I think overall, you bring in Dejounte Murray because of like those struggles they had in the Heat series, where all they had to do was lock up on Trae, and their offense was toast.
Yep, dead ball.
Yeah. Now you bring in Dejounte Murray, and you got a guy who can create his own shot, and he can create shots for others.
No, yeah, exactly. I think that's nail on the head. Like that, they knew last season was a disappointment. I think they thought it was a disappointment even going into the playoffs. I think they knew all that. They're concerned about Capella. One thing about Dejounte Murray is I think him playing on this floor with Trae, I think they're going to go to John Collins at center a lot more now that they're playing faster, as we were just talking about with the Hornets. I think they're going to use that. I mean, because they shift. They have perfect roster where they can just shift Capella out, where John Collins plays center. Hunter moves over to the small forward, and I don't know who would be this. I mean, Hunter moves over to the power forward. I don't know who would play small forward now that Herter and what's his face are gone. Cam Reddish. But anyway, that's not the point. So, they went out. They got the exact guy they need next to Trae Young, an all-star, all defensive guard, 4th in assists last year, just behind Trae Young, who was 3. And you get rebounding for when you choose to go small. Because that was a huge thing, is they were getting out physical. This guy's a very physical, 8 rebounds a game, almost as much as John Collins, if not more. So they're coming out and getting this guy. They're like, listen, we can play small ball. We're doubling down. It's not just dead on Trae Young, which Trae Young handled the ball all the time last season. But they were like the best offense when he was holding the ball, which is fair. So they go out and get a guy who created play-in offense off of nothing. So they're like, oh, we'll bring in this Dejounte Murray guy. He's pretty good. So that's all good. The only downside is the shooting. Only 32%. Volume keeps going up. He's not a guy you can completely leave open. Obviously, he can hit his shots, but it does affect spacing. But they don't have to close. They can widen that gap to close out. So, and you got guys like Clint Capella who doesn't shoot, and then DeAndre Hunter, and then you got John Collins who's good at shooting, just not high volume. I have to talk about that just because people they don't see that correlation. They look at him and he shoots like 38%. But I'm like, yeah, but off like 2 a game. It's not good shooting. Anyway, so you do need shooting. Granted, this is gonna unlock something we have never seen, and that's off-ball Trae. Like, I'm excited to see it because this guy, he shoots really well off ball. I mean, granted, where is it? Oh no, that was a different stat for a different note. Never mind. But I'm excited. So off-ball Trae is gonna help out a lot. He's gonna be able to create on and off ball now. I don't think they're gonna be stuck. I think they're gonna make it further. I'd say second round this year. It's a really tough East.
Yeah, no, I certainly could see that happening. The East and the West are both tough. I mean, every team seems to be trying to get better, with a couple of exceptions. But like in the East, who's really trying to be bad right now? I mean, you got the Magic, who just had the number 1 pick, but like
Pistons, Magic, Pistons,
yeah, them and the Pistons are really
Pacers.
the only teams. Pacers trying to be bad.
Yeah,
but like I mean, even the Knicks are trying.
Yeah, Knicks and Hornets are trying. Don't want to be bad, but they will be bad.
Yeah, they don't want to
possibly toss the Wizards in that boat. Maybe a little bit better, but that's
it.
That's
keep trying.
That's the
and
bottom.
Like the
6.
Wizards still have Scott Brooks there. No, they don't. They fired him. They have Wes Unseld Jr. That's right.
Yeah,
he seems to be doing okay.
Who did a
good
good job coaching this year, just not much to work with. Everyone was injured too.
It's probably just gonna be. It's more of the same with the Wizards every year.
Yeah,
Never changes.
yeah. Rui let me down. I was like, he was my prediction for most improved last year, and he got
worse.
injured the second game of the regular season. I was like, all right, man. I was like, all right, this guy's making me look like a fool. But
yeah, is what.
that was it. You guys talked to us about what you guys thought that fit was. Comment below. Let us know. Anyway, that was not really a question, but the Rockets. Let's talk about the Rockets, young core. I know your favorite guy, Kevin Porter Jr., is on this team. Jalen Green. What's the expectations for this young core? I know we know they're going to be bad, but on the individual personnel, where do we think they're going to go? What do we want out of them this season?
I think they need to win some games. I don't want to see them at the bottom of the lottery again this year. They have plenty of young talent on this team. Like they need to see some of that young talent come through. Like they had 4 first-round picks last year, and one of them was the second overall pick, who we know is a good player. And then this year they had the 3rd overall pick. Like most teams, they do not need more than like a couple of those top lottery picks. Like they should be set now. They should be fine. So I want to see Jalen Green have a really solid year. I want to see them win some games that are surprising, and I want to see them aim for like 30 wins.
Okay, 30 wins. I think they could do that. I think that's doable. They shouldn't be the worst team in the league, like by consensus, as it was. It was them and the Magic. Everyone was like, "Oh, they're the worst team in the league this season." They shouldn't be that bad. I'm with you there.
Yeah, they need to aim for improvement. Like they shouldn't want to be bad this year.
Exactly. Let's look at Jalen Green. I'm expecting an all-star season out of him. He won't make an all-star team. He shouldn't make an all-star team, but I'm expecting an all-star season out of him. I did think he was going to be slow start. He was slow start by the end of the season. This guy, you knew he was going to come out and score, give you 24 a game. Like he was, by the second half of the season, that's who he became. I do think they're going to lean more into him playmaking a lot, because they'll want him to have 2-man actions with Jabari Smith Jr. and I think they're going to lean more towards this year taking the ball out of Kevin Porter Jr.'s hands. You think that's the right assessment?
Well, yeah. I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. is just struggling to be a smart facilitator, and he's not really a threat to score, which he needs to be. So, I mean, I'd love to see them bring in some type of veteran point guard at some point after the Kevin Porter experiment is over, because he needs to have a great year this year if it's going to be anything. But I do love that they're trying to put some more ball handling capabilities into Jalen Smith's hands. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a lot of just action back and forth with him and Jabari Smith. Those are going to be their best players, hopefully, moving forward. So they need to get both of them involved the most.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's all it. JSJ. They got rid of Wood to really open up the floor. Be like, listen, man, you're a big man. You and Şengün do whatever the fuck you need. Because Christian Wood, remember, was like a huge part of their offense anyway. So they got rid of him for that reason, because they just giving the offensive keys to JSJ. They're here. We know, and I know he's an off-ball guy, but I want to see really when I watch him play. Summer League I didn't look at him and see that's the second overall pick. I didn't see what makes him better. I mean, third overall pick. I didn't see what makes him to go that high yet. I do think he's going to be a solid player. I saw that. I thought off ball, I was really impressed by all of his movements and all that. But I just want to see what gives him that star quality, which I didn't see in Summer League. That I saw from Keegan Murray.
No, that's fair. I think it's probably going to take some time for him to get going.
Right. Less minutes for KPJ. You just talked all about that. I would personally like to see them give the keys to Ty Washington a little more minutes. I'd like to see him out there with Jalen Green, Şengün, like all their starters, the guys they really wanted development. I really like Ty Washington. I think he could be something in this league. Not the best, not a good shooter at all, but I think this team, especially with that group of 3, just really allows you to have the flexibility at point guard where they don't have to be a good shooter.
Yeah, I mean, Ty could play a role where he's not doing starter minutes right away too. I mean, he's gonna be a rookie this year, so I don't really see him getting those starter minutes. But him and KPJ can certainly play back and forth with that.
Yeah, I don't
like, after this season, I want to see them get like a. Oh, sorry, guess we buffered there.
Yeah, it's all good.
I was just gonna say, I was thinking just after this year, I want to see them get a point guard that isn't on this team, somebody that's played a few years in the league. Like, I don't know, maybe if things don't go well this year in Denver, maybe they go after a guy like Jamal Murray, like a reclamation project.
Yeah, Jamal Murray would be good. We can get into that on another video on what's the preferred point guard. See if there's any in the draft that they really should be aiming for. But but might as well like test out the talent while you have it. I just think it's kind of wasting time on Kevin Porter Jr. I don't think he's gonna be that outrageously good guy we all thought he was gonna be. But there's so much offensive potential with this lineup. I actually want to see more of what they can do defensively. Like, I know everyone will be able to bring it, especially with like their center is now Al Shangoon. Like, he's the 6'10". He just has really bad conditioning. Like, he just couldn't play that much because he couldn't run. So hopefully he didn't spend too much time in Turkey and eating all that nice food. Or he just came back and worked out more. I don't think he's the answer at center. Also, I think he's a good power forward. But I don't think he's the answer at center. Yeah. But that gives their starting lineup: Kevin Porter Jr., Green, probably Dejounte, JSJ, and Shangoon. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're most promising guys on this team. Like, they're gonna see each year who's getting better. I think Shangoon's definitely a guy who's gonna keep getting better. I think I'm excited about him the most out of a lot of these guys. But don't sleep on Josh Christopher either. He does have some shooting potential, and I can see him finding a fit on this team as well.
Yep, I think Josh Christopher could actually take the starting role from Jae'Sean Tate by the end of the year. It's certainly out there. I just say Tate because he did a fine job. Or we'll see your guy Kenyon Martin Jr. He might be something too. He's gonna see a lot of minutes, but that's the Rockets. What do you guys think of the young core for the Rockets? What do you guys expect most out of them this season? Let us know below. Maybe we'll talk about it in another episode.
You say my guy like I'm friends with Kevin.
Yeah. Well, you asked me about him once, and that was the most anybody has ever asked about Kenyon Martin in my life. So that makes him your guy. So our final guy, with all these trades moving around, we talked a lot about Dejounte Murray. He's gone. What do the Spurs have left? They have Keldon Johnson. And of course, Jeremy Sochan, who they just drafted decently high. But Keldon Johnson last season, 17 points per game. He was looking like a consistent guy. He had pretty decent shooting splits. 46, 39, and 75. So is he that offensive answer? Is he the Spurs' next star?
I think certainly possible. He obviously has the leadership qualities and scoring potential to step up and really take this team by the reins. And this team needs someone to step up. And anyone under Greg Popovich is going to be a smart player. They can be a good defender. And Keldon Johnson just really needs to work on his shot, because I think he's a decent scorer. He's a good slasher, but till he develops that jumper, like, he's just not going to be a threat that you want.
Yeah, he shoots a decent amount. He's efficient enough, and he has the right shot chart where there's like, I think it's like 10% of shots are from mid range, so he's fine. That shot selection is fine. Hopefully, to be a lot more
mid-range is great and all, but the Spurs have been a terrible team the last few years, thinking that mid-range was still going to cut in the league.
No, I said it was a good thing, like that, because he only 10% of his shots are from mid-range. 40% are from three. 50% is from inside.
Gotcha. Yep.
So he has the right shot chart where he's shooting more outside. But I do want to see more consistency this year. I mean, that was a huge doubt when we were watching him. Just one day he would score like 5 points. The next day he would go off for 34 against the Wolves. shoot outrageous efficiency. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, he can't be that inconsistent if he's going to be the leading scorer on this team, which I don't see anybody else. Maybe Devin Vassell, but it's going to be him. He's going to be the number one option this season. Probably not going to have scoring options, but you get the point.
Yeah, I mean, they've got guys who need to get scoring opportunities, so we're going to see who breaks out. But, I mean, Keldon Johnson's pretty much the most sure thing we have alongside Jakob Poeltl on this team.
Yeah, Jakob Poeltl's great. One thing I am worried about with Keldon Johnson is he has no shot creation. So, like, the opposite of what we were talking about of the book night, bringing it all together, this guy cannot create his own shot. I'm not saying, okay, let me not say cannot, just does not. He could be, but maybe because he was playing with Dejounte Murray, it was a lot differently. I got the numbers. They're pretty worrisome, actually. So, 64% of his twos were assisted. You could say, okay, yeah, that's fine. But 97% of his threes were assisted.
That's probably just the way the plays get drawn up, though. Like, I'm sure he's told by Popovich, like, you're not a good enough 3-point shooter to shoot it when you're not wide open off of a pass. Like, he's not able to get open for himself to get that type of shot. Granted, but he also ran close to no pick and rolls with anybody on the roster, which is really weird to see when you have a second guy, your second scoring option that season, run like very little, like on the very low percentile of pick and rolls. That's really not his thing, and he didn't pass as much either. But yes, you're right. Like, it's not in the scheme for him to shoot that many off dribble threes. Granted, that doesn't stop players from doing it in this league. A lot of players do it when they should not do it. Right, absolutely. But he plays for Greg Popovich, and he knows if he doesn't listen, he's going to get his ass benched.
Fair. And maybe he was doing everything the coach said. Granted, though, you would think more plays would be written up. Well, I guess a lot of off ball, but I just didn't see enough on ball creation from him. I'd like to see more. I know we're going to see more. We're just going to see how efficient he is at it. I think a huge part of his efficiency was playing with a great playmaker like Dejounte Murray, and I don't think Josh Primo will be able to live up to that playmaking right away. So it's tough to see. I think we're going to see a dip in clearly see a dip in efficiency. His situations might go up, but I don't think he's going to be an efficient scorer this year. Yeah, no, that's fair. I think there's not really a clear lead facilitator on this team right now. No, yeah. Playmaker. And it's gonna be tough because most of the guys on this roster are known for playmaking. So yeah. I think it's gonna be Josh Primo or Trae Jones who's gonna spend a lot of minutes there. Devin Vassell's not known for his playmaking. Obviously, Poeltl's not, but we'll see. I do think Keldon Johnson certainly has all the potential to be an all-star. I think he's a strong LeBron type build. He looks very controlled inside when he does. Very polished scorer. I think it looks great, and and when he gets hot, This guy can take over a game. So I can't wait to see more from him. Yeah. I'd love to see where this goes with him, and certainly think he's up for the challenge. A lot of people were dogging on him when he got chosen for Team USA, just saying like, oh, he's only got that because he's got the in with Pop. And while that is 100% true, it doesn't take away from his talent. I think he's going to have a great year. Yeah, perfect. What do you guys think of Keldon Johnson? Comment below what you think the best estimated points per game, and throw shooting splits down there. So I want to see shooting. I want to see field goal, 3-point, free throw. Comment below. We'll look at it another time. You have anything else this episode, Alec?
No, man. We just need y'all to watch videos and subscribe. So we need to keep making the money here. Help us get the stacks. You know what I'm saying? Help us out and subscribe. Well, the NBA season's coming soon. You got to be here with us for it. Yeah. The more we get to do this more, the more you guys subscribe, the more you guys get into it, the more we can get into it. Come on, Clean Music Lover. Tell your freaking friends. Clean Music Lover. We listen to you. We see you, man. We love you. And we know you're man because no women watch our shows. That's in the analytics. Say 0. Not a single woman. 99% of our viewers
are men between the ages of 21 and 42. We like you guys.
If you're 42, raise your hand out here. We need to know who the hell you are.
Who the hell you are. But
All right.
that was our show. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week, or if you're watching this day today, we'll see you every day.
Thanks for watching. Shit. My nose.